Former State District Judge John Creuzot is here with us tonight. Thank you for being here with us again to talk about this.
Thank you.
I want to talk about more closely some of the things that Phil brought up. One, this mistrial. It doesn't seem like a big deal, just these couple of vials, but I guess if the defense goes for an appeal, then that's where it could really be a big deal.
Yes, it's part of the process. For example, if they feel that something was put in front of the jury and it should not have been, they have to object to it. If the judge sustains it, then they would request a mistrial, and that carries it on if there is an appeal,
right,
so the appeal court could look at it and rule properly on it.
So that way they've got all the procedures, everything's in place for just in case that happens.
Yes.
So with Eddie Ray Ralph's mom on the stand today, she really tried to paint this picture of somebody who had whose behavior really changed. In high school, he was happy-go-lucky, he was normal, and then after Iraq, it just all changed.
Well, that's been very common, unfortunately, with our Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, plus any World War II and other wars.
Right. People
go off and they get in combat situations, they stay in it for an extended period of time, and they come back different.
And she also talked a lot about drugs, talked about she smoked pot with them. We heard last week the uncle smoked pot with Ralph. So this just also it's bringing in the drugs, talking about maybe that was part for the defense, painting the picture of a drug user.
Well, yeah, but really marijuana today is taking on a different, it has a different view in society, and many doctors, as you know, across many states are prescribing marijuana for anxiety reduction and things like that. So it could very well be, even though it's illegal, a lot of medical experts would see that it had value to relieve his anxiety and maybe depression.
I hadn't thought about that. So now that you bring that up, let's talk about the number of prescribed drugs that he was taking, because perhaps when you take that, even if he was, because his mom did say it helped to relax him, you mix that in with 9 drugs, some for psychoses, that's got to do something to you.
Well, 9 drugs usually are a lot for someone suffering from mental illness. They may be appropriate, but we have a lot of people that we give drugs like that, antipsychotic drugs and other mental health drugs. And the toxic combination sometimes gets a little out of control, and doctors have to continually monitor their blood and sometimes some of their organs to make certain that these drugs are not having some effect that's negative, including mental health effects.
Well, and so talking about doctors monitor him, he was twice admitted to the hospital, once on his own, once he didn't want to go. Do you think he was getting the care that he maybe needed? Because his mom said, listen, my son is suicidal. We've got lots going on here with his medical condition. He's been to the hospital twice. He's on all these drugs. What's your take?
Well, even the best doctors have a hard time getting a grip on severe mental illness. And really what you find is doctors are experimenting with drugs because they don't know which one or which combination of drugs will ever work. And it could be that he was under very good care, but that's what they were doing, is trying to find a drug or a combination of drugs that would work for him, calm him, settle him, and bring him back to more of a normal state.
You know, Phil Alvarado was in court today. He's been there since the beginning. One of the things that he pointed out that we thought was interesting was that there was very little eye contact between the mother and the son, that when they would make eye contact, Eddie Ray Ralph would look down, and he's been taking a lot of notes and writing lots of different things, would just kind of keep doing that, not pay much attention to mom. Do the jurors see anything in that, or is that the journalist kind of paying attention to what's going on in the courtroom?
Probably more the journalist, because you don't know that even that the jurors were paying any attention to that. You have no idea. And when you sit in the back of the courtroom and other things, other positions in the courtroom, your interests are more and varied and different from the jurors, and so they may not notice any of that. You have no idea.
Right. One of the things the defense, though, did do today, big stack of guns. They brought out guns that were at the range, that were there when all 3 men were there. What's the strategy? What's the thinking in doing that?
I don't know. We'll probably find out maybe with more expert witnesses that they'll call later or in closing argument. But certainly you have 2 men, or maybe more, who brought a mentally ill man who they knew was mentally ill and suffering from PTSD out in an environment with a lot of guns in front of him. It may be that that just wasn't a really good idea, knowing and understanding what his mental health problems were. And then you have a person who's been in combat and who's suffering from that type of fatigue, and you're shooting guns around him. It could be that you could trigger something in him, and even though they were well intended, it may not have been a good strategy. Could be what the defense will bring up in the future in the trial.
Well, we'll keep watching, and we appreciate you being here.
No, thank you.
Hope to have you back soon.
Yes.
Thank you.